Hi there. Okay, this is a continuation of the slides that we went through earlier. This is still chapter 2, but it's quite a lengthy one. Yeah, the one that we did earlier, it talked about why we need to organize information when we are doing presentation. It also talked about the 3 golden rules, and lastly, it talked about the transitional phrases. So what else is in store for chapter 2? Supporting materials. Supporting material is anything that backs up the claims in a presentation. Okay, basically it is something to prove what you say is accurate. The functions of supporting materials are: it provides clarity, it creates interest, and it serves as a proof. So there are 2 types of supporting material. The first one is verbal support, and second, visual aids. Here are some types of verbal support. The first one is example. And what it does, it provides clarity, creates interest, and next is story, telling a story. Yeah, what it does is it provides clarity, it adds interest, and provides facts. Third, statistics. Statistics provides clarity, it becomes proof or evidence. It also adds interest when combined with other forms of support. The fourth verbal support is comparisons. And what it does is that it clarifies, it adds interest, and it provides proof. And the next one is citations. Citations provides clarity or clarifies, it adds interest as well as provides the proof. So what are the roles of visual aids? It is something that the audience use to see relationships between the things that you are talking about or something new to what they already know. And it also helps them to remember the points that you're trying to bring across. However, you should remember that visual aids should be used as supplements rather than serve as your main idea. Let's look at what verbal and visual aids does to an audience. This study was done quite some time ago, and it reports on the percentage of the speech remembered after 3 hours or 3 days. Not all, and actually 3 hours and 3 days. So for verbal support, if let's say only words are being uttered and there's only audio, the audience will remember 70% within 3 hours. However, in 3 days, only 10% would remember what has been spoken. If only visual aids were used, more than 70% would remember what was being described or mentioned in a presentation after 3 hours. That there is an increase, in people who know or who remember after 3 days from 10 to 20%. So that's a lot more. However, if you use both verbal as well as visual, look at that. Within 3 hours, more than 80% will remember what has been said in the speech. Whereas after 3 days, a staggering more than 60% would still remember. So it shows you that verbal and visual aids are very important when you're doing presentation. Okay? but when to use them. The first step is to establish the need for an aid. Do you need it now? When do you need it exactly? Yeah. Once your speech is completed, read through to identify where an idea or an aid would be needed to clarify your ideas. So there's some groundwork to be done. Timing. Display your aid only when you are about to discuss it. Otherwise, the audience may become distracted if they see something they do not understand. They tend to think about it and not concentrate on what you are trying to tell them. Next, simplicity is important. Concentrate on presenting just one major idea per aid and place them carefully. Put some thought into where you want to put your visual aid and make sure that the audience are able to see and hear your aids. And you can assess them easily without interrupting the flow of your speech. And what aids should you use? The selection should be based on the speech content, the audience, and the occasion. So think about it. What are the important parts of your presentation? What are the points? And think about how the audience would be relating to those points and what kind of information or what kind of aids, specifically maybe visual aids, that would appeal to the audience and whether it fits the event or the occasion. Here are some basic guidelines for using aids. Make it easy to see. Keep it simple. Try to be consistent with your objective. And maintain eye contact even while you're using the visual aids. Talk about the visual aids. More considerations. Don't pass things around, especially when you're doing the presentation, because it will be distracting and the audience will be focused on the items that you pass around rather than paying attention to what you're trying to say. Use nothing dangerous or illegal. I don't think I need to explain that. Avoid using live animals, and you know why. Sometimes you are unable to control animals. And prepare for backups. Yeah? Prepare for problems with backups. Here are some examples of visual aids. As you can see, there are various types, so pick one which is more suited for your use and how it would appeal to the audience. This is Guy Kawasaki, and he talked about the 10-20-30 rule. He believes that a presentation should consist of only 10 slides, and within the 10 slides, the maximum amount of time required is 20 minutes. And the 30 rule refers to the 30-point font size that you might want to use on your slide. Reason is, he thinks that the less words would be better. Imagine if you had this to say, and you just say it. Hanging from a small pin pounded into the mountain surface can be an exciting, if dangerous, activity. With just the text. Okay, now look at this. Hanging from a small pin pounded into the mountain surface can be an exciting, if dangerous, activity. See the effect? One picture plus the words that will come out from your mouth, the verbal support. The effect is different. Okay, look at this one. Gosh, who's got the time to read it? It's just too much words. The audience will end up just reading the text, or they might just become disinterested and their mind would start wandering. So rather than putting the whole chunk of information right in front of them, why don't you do this? And say 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedication to the proposition that all men are created equal. See, and then just continue on saying what you need to say, but just put only the important points on the screen. You might also want to use the chalkboard for simple explanation, or maybe I should say the whiteboard. The process of writing or drawing reduce contact between the presenter and the audience, so you might want to consider that, because you will be turning your back to the audience when you start writing on the whiteboard. And when you practice, please practice the presentation as it will actually be performed. That means use the visual aids which you will be using at the particular time. Plan on what to say during that time, such as the time spent walking over to the table, for instance. Rather than just making them watch you walk, you might want to say something to them while walking to the table. See, everybody knows Steve Jobs, and he sold millions of iPhones. And how does he do that? I'm sure you have seen his videos or his marketing video. The videos that he showed create such a huge interest and demand for the iPhone, and he does it so well. It was flawless if you have seen them. And how do you think he does it? You see, what he did is that he spent hours and hours rehearsing every part of his presentation. So there is no shortcuts. No shortcuts at all when it comes to presentations. And remember to explain all visual aids. Never display without using visual aids if possible, and try not to rush. Work out in advance on how to set up, explain, and remove without disrupting the flow of your speech. And finally, what I can summarize is, all of you, if you are taking PCS right now, you need to just practice, practice, and practice. The end. Thank you.